Hi everyone, it's Rebecca with linkinglewiscounty.com, and on today's episode of Hear All About It, we have Julie Burmingham. Welcome, Julie. Julie is a school counselor, and she's here to talk about post-secondary options for students. That being said, post-secondary options, give us the list of what that is.
Okay, some students will choose to attend college after high school.
Mm-hmm.
Some will go directly into the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
and some students may enlist in the military.
Okay, so let's talk about students going into college, be it second, 2-year or 4-year. I know there's a pretty important deadline coming up, March 1st. Isn't that the time that they have to make their decision as far as where they're going for like aid and stuff?
Some of the schools
Okay.
do have a deposit deadline.
Okay.
Typically, that is around May 1st. The kids have to decide
Okay,
where they're
May
going to
1st,
go.
okay.
But as far as deadlines for financial aid, students planning to attend college in the fall should
Okay.
be filling out the FAFSA as soon as possible.
Gotcha. So let's talk about your senior in high school this year. What are the things that they would have done already at this point, them and their parents? Because it's a pretty, I've been through it, a very interesting process.
Mm-hmm. So for college-bound students, they would have completed their college applications for the colleges that they're interested in applying to. Starting October 1st, students and parents start completing the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, to see if they're eligible for grants and student loans for college. And at this point, they're really getting into filling out scholarship applications.
Right. Which most of those scholarships they will find right in their high school office, correct?
Correct. Yep. Their counseling offices.
Yep. So they have to go into the office, get these things. Typically, it's an essay involved.
A lot of scholarships require essays. Many of them require transcripts and recommendation letters from teachers and counselors.
Okay, and they all are time sensitive as well. They have to
Correct.
be in by a certain time.
Correct.
I should mention too that at this point, they've probably already toured some colleges, some campuses. Typically, isn't that kind of what you do in your junior year when you say you'd start to do that?
Yeah, we usually advise kids to start doing campus tours in the spring of their junior year and the summer, so that when they return to school in the fall, they're ready to get their application started.
Okay, and what advice do you give them as far as where and what to tour?
You're just asking questions about, how close to home they would like to be, how far, what size school they would like. Do they want something that feels comfortable and small or similar to their high school, or are they looking for a more urban experience? There are a lot of different factors to consider.
Sure, right.
Some kids are looking at athletic options. Obviously, they'd want to pick the schools that have a major that will help them reach their career goal.
So, and when as a school counselor, do you begin to try to help them narrow down which option they want to pick, or if college is their option? What are some of the tools that you give them as far as to how to streamline what they even want to major in?
I would say narrowing down happens in high school, but we start with our elementary school counselors talking about career options.
Really?
And strengths and weaknesses and interests. Okay. So I know in high school, each year we do different types of interest inventories with students to see what their interests are and what careers match those interests. We can look at grades and take a look at their strengths and weaknesses, and having those conversations about how do these things match and fit the career options that you have.
Okay, so when it comes to the college piece, like you said, obviously a lot of things to consider. Distance from home, the setting with which they want to be, urban, rural. Do they want to come back home on the weekends? Do they want to commute? So there's lots of factors going into that college decision. What about the military option? What kind of discussions do you have with students, and how do they go about pursuing that?
So we, every year when we meet with them individually at our school, we ask them, are you thinking about the military? Are you considering a college or the workforce? And if they say military, we provide them with contact information and resources to research which branch might be a good fit for them. We also have recruiters that come to the school and talk to kids.
And are they able to talk with each branch division to kind of determine what they, and each of them, I'm assuming, has different requirements?
They do have some different requirements that kids would really need to research, but in general, at this point, kids still need to graduate from high school. There are some other, physical
requirements,
emotional requirements. Students need to take the ASVAB, which is a military entrance exam, and get a certain score to be eligible. That ASVAB also tells them about strengths and weaknesses in different areas, such as mechanical reasoning and things like that. So the military actually uses some of those results to help them determine which career in the military is most appropriate.
Okay, so they'll take that test, and the recruiter will say, you're perfect for the Air Force, or Army might be best for you, or
I haven't heard a recruiter tell a student that another branch is perfect
for them. Right, all right. So
yes, they're going to try to find the best fit for their branch.
Okay, gotcha. Now, what if, so back to the military option, do they leave right after graduation, or how do they get to pick when they go, or how does that work?
Some do. Some have left the weekend of graduation. It really depends on when they decide to enlist. And they'll work with their recruiter on when they will start basic training. We had a student enlist during high school last year, and she left right after graduation. We had a student who was enlisted this year, and his plans are immediately following graduation.
So it's not, you have to sign up and then wait for the next available. You can enlist and they're ready to take you.
I think so. I mean, I think it's their calendar, but with high school students enlisting, the earliest they could go is after graduation. So.
Okay. One area I think that gets overlooked is, and I guess that would be kind of go hand in hand with going right into the workforce, would be going into the trades. Let's talk a little bit about that. How do you navigate that with a student? Is it always a student that was typically in BOCES, or could it just
not always? We're really lucky in this area to have the technical center here. A large percentage of our students attend BOCES and learn to trade, and that is actually an accredited trade school that people could go to as an adult, so they're getting some pretty fantastic training that way. But lots of times kids who attend BOCES go to college afterwards. Sometimes kids who didn't go to BOCES go into the trades. So they have a lot of options.
So for example, I had a nephew who did not go to BOCES in high school, but then went on to pilot or small engine trade school. I think it was in Pennsylvania, to work on airplane mechanics. So how do you talk to kids about, if they don't know, if they've never been in BOCES and they're not sure what they want to do, how do they receive information about these different trade schools?
So when we talk to them about researching their plans, we try to get some ideas, and then we will sit down lots of times and start that research process with them and show them what that looks like. Just as an example, Mohawk Valley and some of the community colleges have started offering many more programs that are trade related. So,
do you find an increase or a decrease in students wanting to go into the trades?
I would say that we have a lot of students very interested in hands-on and going into the trades.
Because it seems like we need that. It seems like, and I think it's a excellent option, because usually these trade schools, they're probably all varying, but some of them are just, like a semester or two, correct? Of
some
training?
of them are, just 18 weeks.
Yeah.
They have different lengths depending on what it is, but they aren't necessarily on a traditional college schedule where it's going to take you 2 years to get a certificate.
Right. So that's actually a very good option for a student to graduate from high school, go into that trade, and essentially be working in the workforce a year or two right after being out of school.
Yeah, and our goal is to find the right fit for each student. So what's the right fit for one student, which might be or going into the trades directly after high school, may not be the right fit for the next. So that's part of our goal as school counselors, is to help kids figure out what does fit them best.
Sure, absolutely. And I mean, I think you would agree with this, that an important thing too is what they think they might want senior year of high school, they don't have to determine it right then and there. You might go to a 4-year school and realize that's not the place for me. I want to go to a 2-year school. So I guess it's really important for parents to be flexible with what's going to happen after this stage of life.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, and I think as school counselors working with kids in the last couple of years, it's understandable that they might be a little more undecided.
Sure.
Right now.
Sure.
So it's a process,
right.
And sometimes it takes some time
Right.
to figure that out.
I still don't know what I want to be. Well, I really appreciate you coming in. This is a topic that I wanted to talk about, only because going through it myself, it's any path they choose. I think as a parent, you want to have all the information to help guide your student or your child to make the right choice for them. And we're very lucky to have people like you to help answer the questions that we don't have the answer to. So I really appreciate you coming in. Anyone that has questions about different options for their kids, parents can contact their child's school counselor
Absolutely.
Anytime.
We welcome those phone
Sure.
calls.
Yep. Make a phone call, an email, an appointment. I know in our experience at all different levels, the school counselors were always ready, available. So I appreciate you coming in, and thank you so much for everything that you do for students.
Thank you.
Thank you.